Well, we're brewing, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. You're all very welcome here this evening. Apparently, I left the chat on the screen while I was testing it before I went live, so I'll just leave it anyway. Great to see you all. Who've we got? Who's around? Scroll up. Nina Sadie was the first in the chat. Solidari-Tea, great to see you. Morbius as well. Floor Snake, hope the tea's flowing well. Chris, great to see you. Emma too. Solidarity to everybody in the chat and watching this evening. Guitar Guy, nice to see you again. And I still don't get what the thing is with this crown logo, people. I notice something at the top of the chat that says community. I don't know if that comes up in your chat box, but it's got a crown next to it. I'm going to press it. Live experiments. I see, so it's it's a ranking of who's most active in the chat. And you get XP, experience points. I don't know how that works. Let's take a look. In fact, I can I get this up on the screen? I can. Okay, so it's a place for fans to stand out in the community. The top 3 get special badges in live chats. It resets every stream. I'll just turn the music down a little bit. So you need to collect XP, and it's for chat messages, super chats and super stickers. Okay, got it. Just go back to the normal chat now. So it's YouTube, that is, has decided to throw a bit of competition into the chats. We'll see how this works out. I didn't know that this was going to happen, to be honest. I do actually follow some content providers who do content for content providers. You know what I mean? People who talk about running a YouTube channel and whatnot. But I've not heard about this one. So I guess, yeah, I'll play along for a little bit. So, for example, I might say, oh, Morbius, number 2. You're quite right about how penguin migrations in Antarctica are affecting carrots on the Norwegian stock market. That sort of thing. So it resets every stream. I guess it's a race to the end. And if you're feeling chatty tonight, let's see if you can get in the top 3. But that's not the only game that's going down tonight, people. Is it? He asks. Has he also remind you to please make sure that you've hit thumbs up button on the stream? So it could be a monumental Keith's Catchphrases this evening, people. Postman Twats is down 1-0 on aggregate, so he needs a win this week, or else he's out. The very long-standing champion is out. I think he had a couple of draws along the way, a couple of close shaves. A few people had him on the ropes, and then he bounced back a few times. But last week was an absolute drubbing, an absolute rout. Probably one that not even he himself has put on any other phrase, so got that to look forward to. The big news today is all about, with UK politics that is, the U-turn on winter fuel payments has been the main one, so I imagine that might be coming up. Or it might be raised in PMQs. But if it continues to go on about deals, then that could be it. The postman swat. The latest on Gaza as well, on the aid, all lack of, as it is, horrifically still, almost 12 weeks into Israel's blockade, so I'll be going through that. Politics Clive, welcome to the chat. I will be going into the South Africans' appearance in the Oval Office as well. It was sort of the Oval Office argument files part 2. Right in front of the press. Similar to the way it was with Zelensky, but yeah, different kind of reactions, so I'll go into that as well. Plenty of doom scrolling, as well as more light-hearted moments to come, of course. Make sure that you throw your own tea-based puns into the chat as we go through. I'll just very quickly get into something I forgot to mention yesterday, even though I included it in the title of the stream. Apologies, it was just run a bit late. But yeah, something semi-extraordinary, I guess, happened to me yesterday. Pretty crazy. Just one sec. So basically I'm going down the road and just a little bit in front of me a police car pulls over and then starts to grapple with someone who was walking / running down the road. I'd sort of just turned onto the road. As that was happening, it was sort of in front of the police car, so I couldn't really work out what was going on, apart from the fact that he was trying to arrest someone, obviously. But then it sort of spilled out into the middle of the road, and it was then that he sort of fell to the ground and wrestled a little bit, but the policeman had his back towards me, so I still couldn't really sort of see this guy. Then the policeman gets up, and he's got a taser, and I think he shot the taser at the guy. I can see that this guy's got a balaclava on. And I was like, all right, okay, he's not just like trying to reprehend some, you know, scally or something, or chav. Whatever you call your teenage ne'er-do-wells in your area. But then, yeah, the other guy got up. I don't know what happened, if like the policeman missed with the taser, or if it wasn't like effective, if it got him on some thick clothing or whatever. But then the other guy, the robber in the balaclava, pulls out a fucking pistol from his back pocket and starts to point it at the policeman, who at this point is directly in line with me. And I'm thinking, fucking hell. And the policeman sort of backed off a bit, and some other police started to arrive, but then they could see that he was armed, and he sort of darted off up this side street. Yeah, and the copper sort of was obviously in a bit of a state. He went over and sat down on the curb, and I could see like where there'd been a scuffle between them. Initially there was like a cash box that had gone in a machine of some sort, and you could see there were a few like notes spilt out on the road and the pavement and stuff, and God, it was yeah, it was pretty, but it was like right in front of me. Yeah, I won't say where it happened. It was in the northwest, obviously, because where I'm sort of moving around, hanging around, mostly, of course. So yeah, that was part of my crazy day yesterday. Just thought I'd share that with you. The robber didn't fire, you know. I mean, thank fuck, otherwise I might not be doing this stream. Clive, thank you very much for the super chats. And yeah, I believe you do get XP for super chats, as it said in the rules. So I'll just give you some appreciation. Give you some love and a thumbs up there. Thanks again for that, Clive. It already sounds like a, you know, a pretty easy game to rig. I'll just bring up the thing again quickly. Yeah, it says you get them for super chats and super stickers. I'm not sure how long, if it updates immediately. I should say, actually, I don't know if you have access to this sort. I've got a scoreboard here, and it's actually, there's a 7-way tie in there, which is probably why you're not in the top 3 at the moment. We'll keep going, keep sharing your thoughts. You might say things like, oh, this is the best PMQs ever, you know, Starmer really is on form today. In fact, I'll probably now definitely vote for Labour at the next general election. And if you'll excuse me, I'm now off to have a lobotomy again. No, but whatever you want to say, get it on there, because apparently now it's a competition. Competitions within competitions now. So 75 is as high as it gets. That's 75 XP on the game. So it's only, well, it's not real hierarchy then, is it? Is there going to be a revolution now because, you know, you've got the same XP but they have crowns? Keep it civil in the chat, people. I know there have been quite a few debates lately. Just make sure that it's all very cordial and don't make it personal and things like that. I don't have any mods, and my left eye can't be in 2 places at once, or can it? But yeah, keep it lively, but keep it polite. Well, 75's the limit for now. Feel free to attempt to break the limit by any means that you can. Alright, people. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit the like on the stream. And we've got a doctor in the house, Doc Davies. Okay, I don't have comedy vid from any other content providers this week, but I'll just remind you that the latest volume of the album is out, so I'll get my notepad out and await your latest suggestions, people. And, you know, because it's a very special occasion for some reason today, I'll even play it with the volume on.
Do you like a hot tasty beverage with your music? Then my left eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album, all your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 7 is now available, featuring Take On Tea, Aha, Suddenly IT, KT Tunstall, What's Love Got Tea Do With It, Tina Turner, Ain't That a Shame, Pat Broon, Tea Baggy Trousers, Madness, plus many more. Order now.
The ending still gets me. Thanks for your contributions towards Volume 7 there. No, Clive, I don't think you get XP for liking. I think it's comments in the chat and super stickers and super chats as well. Because they have to be live, obviously. They have to be done while you're watching live. Tea baggy trousers, yeah, that was a good one. Should we just? I'll just quickly go back and just read out the full list. Go so quick on the clip. Take On Tea by Aha. Suddenly IT by KT Tunstall. You've got to watch out for the, you know, multiple puns coming at you, people. What's Love Got Tea Do With It by Tina Turner. Ain't That a Shame by Pat Broon. Tea Baggy Trousers by Madness. Yeah. Keep them rolling in, people. I know a few of you have made multiple contributions so far. Do appreciate all of your efforts. I've even been getting suggestions today in the comments, so thanks for those. A good point though, Mo. I'm wondering if this will come up in session. We'll get into it in just a moment. And I did bring it up on yesterday's stream about the apology to the member of Played, Kimru, that Stan was very rude to in the last session. Point being, he'd rather be rude and then have to apologise than have to answer the question. Because she more or less had him banged to rights on U-turns and things like this. And alas, here we are a week later, on the very day that another U-turn has been announced. Obviously a slightly more welcome one, with it being about the winter fuel payments. But it's... I'm just going over to the screen now, we'll get started. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention as well. I always forget to put the membership goal up. Unfortunately, we've fallen below 100, so we're at 95 at the moment. A few people didn't renew, unfortunately, in the last couple of days. So yeah, 95. Right, let's get cracking with the session.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole.
Plan for change.
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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So here we are again. Another episode of Keith's Catchphrases. More or less self-explanatory. You're mostly all familiar with the rules. Two phrases pitted against one another. It has to be Keith who says the phrases. They get knocked out after 2 losses in a row. That's the situation we're faced with this week, as I mentioned, and slight variations are allowed. So delivering, for example, changes planned. Okay, I'm sure we're all up to speed with that, so let's just get right into it. Bring up the scoreboard. No spoilers, please, if you've already seen this week's session. It's my first time viewing, so this will be my genuine reaction as always. Just a reminder of last week's score as well. It was a whopping 23-4 in favour of the new contender. I'll bring them up now, actually. So as it stands, defending champion, Postman Twats, will appear every time the word deliver is mentioned by Keith, and deal, deals, dealing, slight variations are allowed. Dealt, I guess I'd allow dealt as well. So you hear this noise when one of the phrases is mentioned. So you see the scores at this... Oh, wrong one. I can see the scores at the side of the screen there. Needs to change the size of that Lindsay Hoyle one, I think. Just have to unlock it. There we go. That's better. Been messing about with the dimensions a bit recently. That'll do. Right, Lindsay, take it away, you absolute waste of space.
Right, we come to Prime Minister's questions. Lewis Cocky.
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my deepest condolences, and I'm sure those of the whole House, are with the families and friends of Jenny, Martin and David, tragically killed in the fire in Bicester last week. May I also welcome to the gallery Cheryl Corbell, the mother of Olivia. I'm always humbled by those with the courage to respond to appalling heartbreak by campaigning for change. And I know the whole House will pay tribute to her extraordinary courage and extraordinary resolve. Mr. Speaker, because of the action taken by this government, the UK is now the fastest growing economy in the G7. Interest rates have been cut 4 times, and we've secured our 3rd trade deal in 3 weeks. India, the US and the EU. Deals in the national interest that improve the lives of working people and businesses across the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further interest rates have been cut 4 times, and we've secured our 3rd trade deal in 3 weeks. India, the US and the EU. Deals in the national interest that improve the lives of working people and businesses across the United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
That was on the introductory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Labour government has been in power now for almost 12 months.
Proceedings.
So when will the Prime Minister stop defying the will of the British people, stop dancing around the subject, and stop all illegal immigration into the United Kingdom, which has been rising under his watch?
It was the last government that lost control of immigration. Record numbers on net migration, lost control of the borders. We're bringing forward legislation to give law enforcement the greatest possible powers. What are they doing? They're voting against it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Whilst the economy is showing signs of improving, many pensioners are still impacted by the cost of living crisis. People in Luton who have worked hard all their lives, seeing their precious savings slip away. So can the Prime Minister tell us what measures he will take to help struggling pensioners in towns like mine?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we all know the economy was left in an absolute mess by the Tories. We had to stabilise the economy with tough decisions, but the right decisions. Because of those decisions, the economy is beginning to improve. Those growth figures last year, the highest growth in the G7, interest rate cuts 4 in a row, 3 trade deals. But I recognise that people are still feeling the pressure of the cost of living crisis, including pensions.
In the news, like literally today, that it's slowing down. It's not getting better.
And as the economy improves, we want to make sure people feel those improvements in their days as their lives go forward. And that is why we want to ensure that as we go forward, more pensioners are eligible for winter fuel payments. As you would expect, Mr. Speaker, we will...
I can see it coming. I can smell it in the air. My left eye sees pretty far, and I can almost in verbatim see the exchange that's going to be coming when it's Kemi Badenoch's turn about this U-turn. And then they don't have a plan, we've got a plan, you can't be trusted, you do U-turns, and so on ad nauseum.
Only make decisions we can afford. That is why we will look at that as part of a fiscal event.
Leader of the opposition.
Fiscal. Yeah, I did hear that as part of this announcement earlier. A fiscal event. What is that supposed to mean? If you go out and buy a packet of chewing gum, that's a fiscal event, isn't it? If you put literally a penny in a savings jar or something like that, is a fiscal event. Is he talking about a budget? An autumn budget? A late summer budget? A fiscal event? When your back's against the wall, on your double standards in this case, and attempts to get away with austerity that have blown back in your face, at least, it's just be as vague as you can until you think you can get away with it again. Not sure it's a tactic that's going to work, but Keith's going for it.
Can we bear or not?
There she goes.
Mr. Speaker, it's extraordinary listening to that last answer from the Prime Minister. Inflation was 2% when Conservatives left office. 2%. It's now nearly double that. When will he recognise that it's Labour's budget driving up inflation?
I think what she forgot to say was over 11% on their watch, and she didn't say a word. I am confident those numbers will come down, Mr. Speaker. The Bank of England is confident those numbers will come down. That's why we've seen 4 interest rates in a row. But I notice she can't resist grabbing any opportunity to talk the country down. She doesn't mention the growth figures, the interest rate figures, record investment, wages up more than prices, 200,000 jobs created, 4
and all the
trade
other things
deals.
that you've made
And the
up.
reason, Mr. Speaker, they haven't learned, they haven't changed, and as George Osborne said, she doesn't have a credible economic plan.
Can we bear or not?
Mr. Speaker, this is
Do you
laughable
want to know
from
the
the Prime
lottery
Minister.
numbers, people?
He knows that inflation was brought down by
That's not
us
easy to
2%,
predict.
bang on target. We were reacting to a war in Ukraine that brought inflation up all over Europe. While he is doing trade deals with countries like the US and India, their inflation is going down. It's going up here. Why? The ONS says the inflation figures are driven by significant increases in household bills. We warned him repeatedly that this is exactly what would happen, what his policies would do. We called it Awful April. The Prime Minister came into office saying that he would tackle the cost of living crisis. He has failed. He hasn't got a clue, has he?
Mr. Speaker, she talks of their record, the disastrous Liz Truss mini-budget. Inflation through the work. They left a £22 billion black hole. Living standards at an all-time low. Energy prices through the roof. Mortgages through the roof.
I quickly want to point out something about Kemi Badenoch's delivery there as well. It was, you know, particularly poor, and while this is more or less very low-hanging fruit, like shooting fish in a barrel, criticising Keir Starmer and his government, like she just gets like a measly 3 half-hearted yays from her side of the chamber. So it's just so lame, isn't it?
And Mr. Speaker, we're taking measures to bring prices down. That EU deal will bring prices down. That's why supermarkets welcomed it. What did she do? She opposes measures to bring prices down.
Can we bear or not?
Mr. Speaker, he needs to stop whining about what the last government did and look at what he is doing. He is the Prime Minister. Look at the numbers this morning. As if inflation figures weren't bad enough, we've also learned that the Deputy Prime Minister is on manoeuvres. He's lost control of the economy. He's lost control of his cabinet. She's sitting there staring at me. She knew exactly what she was doing when she briefed that into the paper.
Is Angela Rayner going to the prom after the House of Commons? Yeah, I'm not siding up with Badenoch or anything, but
she is demanding, Mr. Speaker, 8 new tax rises, as if we haven't suffered enough. People out there are struggling. Businesses are struggling. People are losing their jobs. We cannot have more tax rises. Will the Prime Minister rule out new tax rises this year?
Mr. Speaker, she's not learned or changed. They lost the election because their appalling record on the NHS, on health, on prisons, you name it. And now she accuses everyone of whining about the impact that had on the country. It had a huge impact on working people across the country, and they're absolutely right to complain about it. She wants to talk about the Deputy Prime Minister. The Deputy Prime Minister, working with the Chancellor, building 1.5 million new homes, reforming our planning system, putting £7 billion into our economy, and bringing forward our employment rights bill.
Will be social housing. And this week, Angela Rayner's got Keith Edmonds for part of her face.
Single biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation.
That's desperate stuff. The whole House would have heard the Prime Minister refuse to rule out new tax rises. The whole House heard it. He didn't rule it out. That his cabinet is open warfare. The Deputy Prime Minister clearly calling the shots. What is it that we've learned? We're heading for new tax rises. We know inflation is up. It's just more and more bad news from a Prime Minister who has lost control. So we heard his earlier answer, Mr. Speaker. We heard his earlier answer on winter fuel. Let's try and get some more information. I'm going to ask him a simple question. It only requires one word, yes or no. Is he planning to U-turn on winter fuel cuts?
Yeah. Yes. Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I made clear in my earlier answer that as the economy improves, we want to take measures that will impact on people's lives, and therefore we will look at the threshold, but that will have to be part of it.
You can't say that he isn't, because then he looks as tight as he is. He can't say that he is going to do a U-turn, because that'll show the double standards, as well as expose him as, you know, trying to get away with things. But the pushback against it's been that big, and the result of the local election that followed, that it's now undeniable that specific policy is really sticking in the public consciousness. He can't escape that. So that's as far into a corner as you can paint yourself, and that's where Keith is right now.
Fiscal event. But, Mr. Speaker, they lost control of every element of the economy, of prisons, the borders, the NHS, you name it. And now she's lost control of her party. They are sliding into oblivion. They will have to trade on their past, Mr. Speaker, because that's all they've got.
Well, if Postman Swat does go out, then Control is certainly going to be another good contender, I think.
Just a simple question, yes or no. And he could not answer. I wonder how the public feel about a man who can't give a straight answer to a simple question. And you look at all of them behind him, all of them cheering, when this inevitable U-turn on winter fuel comes, and it will, from a desperate Prime Minister, what will he say to the 348 MPs who went over the top and voted for the winter fuel cut last September? Just like the British public, how can any of them ever trust him again?
Mr. Speaker, it's only because of the measures we've taken that the economy is improving. Growth at the highest rate since in the G7. 4 interest rate cuts, 3 trade deals, because countries want to trade with this country because of the decisions that we've made. All of those decisions opposed by the party opposite. They've learned absolutely nothing, and they're going absolutely nowhere.
Mr. Speaker, this is a Prime Minister who says he's taking measures. The jobs tax is killing jobs. Inflation is up. Business confidence is down. Everyone is worried. He promised to cut bills, but today we see they are rising because of his policies. He promised not to raise taxes on working people, but his jobs tax means people are losing their jobs. Every week we come here with a new company that is saying they are shedding jobs. That's on his watch. He promised to protect pensioners, but his winter fuel cut has driven thousands into hardship. His MPs hate this. He can't see them, but they all look sick just hearing what it is he's going to do. So let's wait until... Oh, yes, they're laughing. They're laughing. They're laughing.
I expect better from whips. And boys on at the back, I've got my eye on you. Heavy Bernard.
Mr. Speaker, Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Sorry. Which one wants to leave first? If I hear it, there we are. They've got the first volunteer. Are you going to behave?
It really is all the authority and vibe of a really desperately failing substitute teacher on the verge of a nervous breakdown, isn't it? You know, at an reputably unruly secondary school or high school, as it were, in the UK. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing.
Mr. Speaker, they are laughing just as they laughed at the budget. Hands up who here wanted winter fuel cuts. Hands up. Not a single one of them. Not a single one of them. The fact of the matter is, this Prime Minister is destroying them. They need to look at what they are doing to the country. The truth is, we all know that it's this Prime Minister, this Labour government, and their policies that are shafting the country, isn't it?
Shafting the country.
Prime Minister.
Shafting. You can get away with saying that in the House of Commons. You're shafting. All right. What about, you know, you're fucking it up?
I think they look in pretty good form to me, and there's lots of them. Mr. Speaker, she talks about business confidence. Yesterday I didn't have time to read out the list of all the businesses that have come out in support of our EU deal. Mr. Speaker, I don't have time today. It's a long list. I went immediately to Lidl and spoke to the staff in Lidl. They're delighted with the deal we put forward yesterday. Business like the...
What's maybe using the EU gates at airports got to do with Lidl? Or did I miss something? Have we rejoined the trade union and, you know, the customs union? No? Oh well.
Work we're doing is giving them confidence in the EU deal. She's opposed to each and every measure.
Louise Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recently visited Barrow Hill Primary School in my constituency of North East Derbyshire, a school in receipt of a new free breakfast club. The team there are doing a fantastic job, but challenges still remain. What more can we do as a government to support both them and local parents to give the children of Barrow Hill the start in life that they deserve? Yeah.
If you'd like to buy a sponsorship on this week's Planted Question, then you can ring the following number.
Well, I thank my honourable friend, and we are united by a shared focus on creating better life chances for our children. And I'm delighted to hear her constituents are already benefiting. Thanks to our plan for change, we'll deliver free breakfast clubs in every primary school in England. And I'm determined to support parents to give every child the best start in life. And that's why we're rolling out free childcare, expanding the first 300 school-based nurseries, and delivering more family hubs.
Oh, when I get old, we've
Trent David, the leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the terrible fire in Bicester last Thursday? I know from my honourable friend, the member for Bicester and Woodstock, how deeply the close-knit community there has been affected by this tragedy. And firefighters Martin Sadler and Jenny Logan were true heroes, as was Dave Chester. And I hope the full prayers and thoughts of the House are with their loved ones and with the two firefighters still in hospital. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has rightly said that his new trade deals will give a much-needed boost to economic growth and thus to the public finances. So will the Prime Minister make sure that struggling families and pensioners see the benefits of the growth? He teased the House with his first answer to his honourable friend, the member for Luton North. So will he commit now to reversing his cuts to the winter fuel payment in full?
Mr. Speaker, firstly, can I just thank him for his comments about the Bicester tragedy. It's very important that in a moment like this the House does come together. And we are taking measures, obviously, to help with the cost of living crisis, and that's why the EU deal yesterday was so important, because the impact it will have on prices, particularly in supermarkets, directly affecting those who are affected by the cost of living crisis. Mr. Speaker, what I said before was this, that the economy is beginning to improve. People are still feeling the pressure. That's why we're taking the measures that we are. That's why we're striking the trade deals that we are striking. As that improves, I do want people to feel the benefit of the measures that we are taking. And that is why I want to ensure that more pensioners are eligible for winter fuel. It is important that, as you'd expect, that we are clear we can afford the decisions we're making, and that's why it will now be looked at a fiscal event.
Sherrod David.
Mr. Speaker, I think I welcome what the Prime Minister has.
Just before Ed Davey as well, yeah, that the fire in Bicester certainly sounds awful. I didn't want to interrupt, obviously, while they were talking about that. And still, there are victims fighting for their lives, so obviously I wish them a speedy recovery. I think they're still investigating the cause, of course.
Said, but we will look at the details, and I hope he will use some of these new proceeds to help others like carers, because the government's changes to PIP will have big consequences for family carers, like Ginny, who cares for her husband Tim, who has myotonic dystrophy. Ginny holds her husband's hand to keep him steady as he walks. He falls frequently and chokes on his food. Ginny is the sole earner in the family. She works part-time on top of caring for Tim. But she's calculated that under the government's cuts, her family will lose £12,000 a year. So can the Prime Minister tell Ginny, and many family carers like her, what does he expect them to do?
Mr. Speaker, we have approached this on the basis of the principles that we must support those who need support. On the question of getting people into work, that we should support people into work where they can work, and of course, where they could work, they should. But it is undeniably the case that the current arrangements don't work and need to be reformed. And that's why we're bringing forward reform, necessary reform, to ensure the system works better.
And the Leash Mitchell.
Giving free plugs to his main rival
in this place,
in the polls.
I read the victim impact statement Cheryl Corbell never got to say to her daughter's killer, Thomas Cashman, because he refused to face her in court. I made up Olivia's law past second reading, but until it gets royal assent, criminals can still not show up and deny victims justice. So will the Prime Minister commit to making sure Olivia's law becomes law as fast as possible?
Yeah. Prime Minister.
Can I thank her for reading that victim impact statement? Because I know from talking to Cheryl just how hard it was for her to make that victim impact statement in the first place. It took a huge amount of courage and grief. And she wanted to read that statement to the perpetrator, as she should have been able to do. And I know how visceral the pain is to her of not being able to have done so from the meetings I've had with her. So I do thank my honourable friend for allowing that victim impact statement to be heard by the whole world, by being read out in this chamber. Cowards who commit these heinous crimes should face the consequences of their action and face those that have had huge impact on their lives, and that's why we will force offenders to attend the sentencing hearings with longer sentences, unlimited fines and prison sanctions for those who seek to avoid facing justice. And I again pay tribute to Cheryl, who I will meet later on this afternoon, for having the incredible courage to push for that change, notwithstanding the incredibly painful impact it's had on her and her family.
Jim Allister.
The government assures us that Northern Ireland is still in the United Kingdom's customs union. If so, how is it then that British steel can be sold to the United States tariff-free, but if the same British steel is sold into Northern Ireland, it's subject to EU tariffs? Why on Monday did the Prime Minister not even try to take back control over the trade laws that govern Northern Ireland?
It's 2018 again, people.
Mr. Speaker, it is important that we reduce tariffs on steel into the US market or other markets, including the EU markets, for obvious reasons. It is also vital that we seek to ensure that we reduce any barriers in trade within the United Kingdom as a whole. Yesterday was a step towards that. There's further work to do, but we do want to get to that place where we can trade without those barriers in the United Kingdom. We'll continue to work on that.
Andrew Pex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will know that thriving high streets are essential to local growth. But in cities like mine, people are increasingly concerned by the uncontrolled growth of betting shops and vape stores. Research shows this concern is not isolated. Nearly half of betting shops and gambling stores are in the 20% of places which are struggling the most, like Peterborough. So can I ask the Prime Minister, will he ask his departments to meet with me and campaigners so we can discuss ways that local communities like mine can take back control of our high streets?
My honourable friend is an excellent champion for his constituents, and we are committed to supporting our nation's high streets to adapt and thrive. Planning applications are required for any new betting office to make sure locals have a say on individual cases, and communities can use the planning system to allow for a change of use of their properties. And I will make sure that he gets the meeting that he's asked for.
Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Friday, the EFRA Select Committee published its report on the Government's vision for agriculture. The committee agrees with the Government that land purchase being used to shelter wealth from inheritance tax is a problem that needs to be tackled. As a cross-party committee with a Government majority, however, we took the unanimous view that the Government's current proposals for inheritance tax reform will catch too many family farms who will simply not be able to pay the bill. We are asking for the changes to be paused and reworked. Will the Prime Minister listen to the Select Committee and those on his own bench?
It's I'm paying too much inheritance tax on my farms. I don't know about you viewers. I don't know what to do with all of the ones that I've got.
Who want to tackle
that I have, I should say,
tax evasion and support the farmers who keep producing food for the nation's table.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he knows the very limited impact of the inheritance tax, only on farmers of very, very high level. But he will also know the record amount of money we put in at the budget into farming, and of course the measures taken yesterday with the EU deal, which will massively help farmers selling their products into the EU market.
Julian Butley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Wrexham, Shropshire and Midlands Railway is on track to link North Wales and my Shrewsbury constituency directly to London with 5 trains daily, strengthening cross-border travel and fuelling this government's mission to drive economic growth. With 15 members from constituencies along the route already on board, will the Prime Minister support our journey and urge the Office for Rail and Road to give WSMR's open access application the green signal?
Mr. Speaker, our plan for change will see the railways reformed to deliver more reliable and better value services for passengers right across the country. My honourable friend has been a champion for better railways and easier journeys for her constituents. Open access operators have huge potential to offer passengers more choice. I'll be delighted to make sure that she and other interested MPs meet with the Rail Minister to put their case forward.
Dr. Neil Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I'm right in saying that the Prime Minister might be a lawyer, trained to review evidence and reach judgment. So when he looked...
God, what is it with it? I just wanted to pause. How long do you think she was working on that one last night? With the one about the trains, with the... they were that bad. I can't even remember what the actual question was. Something local... Trains more good, please. But yeah, the puns. We do like a good pun on this channel, but it has to be a good one.
Looks at the effects of his decisions, cutting the winter fuel payment, making pensioners poorer, damaging businesses with the jobs tax, decimating rural communities with the family farm tax, and risking our food security by selling off our fishing waters, surely he can review the evidence and see the verdict. Will the Prime Minister now throw these damaging policies out of his court once and for all before they do any more harm?
The Tories sold them off.
Well, the evidence is certainly coming in. Growth is the highest in the G7, 4 interest rates in a row, and trade deals with countries across the world who want to do deals with this country, as they can see the stability that this government has brought about. Instability with them, stability and growth with this Labour government.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is National Epilepsy Week, and we're joined in the gallery by England rugby player Tommy Freeman, who was diagnosed with epilepsy at 19. But through effective treatment has gone on to be selected for the British and Irish Lions, and I hope the Prime Minister will join me in congratulating him on that great achievement. But for a third of epilepsy sufferers, seizures cannot be controlled by medication, like my constituent Ben Lacey, who suffers multiple seizures every single day. Ben will never be able to work, yet has been subject to the stress and uncertainty of multiple PIP reassessments. So will the Prime Minister reaffirm his commitment to ensuring that people like Ben with lifelong conditions who cannot work will be protected from these damaging reassessments and given the support they need to live with dignity?
Well, can I begin by congratulating Tommy and everyone selected to represent the British and Irish Lions. It's an incredible achievement, and we'll be cheering them on. Mr. Speaker, it's important that we do...
From the private box that you received as a corporate gift, no doubt, Keith.
...protect those with severe disabilities or lifelong health conditions who can't work, paying them a premium and stopping those reassessments, which is part of the reform that we're bringing about. Ultimately, we also do need to get back to face-to-face assessments by trained assessors and health professionals, which fell to only 1 in 10 assessments under the last government.
The hands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, keeps telling his gullible backbenchers, those over there, that he's
just prepare myself for whatever this is going to be. Right, okay. 30p Lee, the Neanderthal. He's had more parties than Hugh Hefner, you know.
Deported 24,000 people from this country since he came into power, but he won't say who these people are. Now, it's my guess that they are people that came on work visas, students, and they are simply overstayers. But I'm willing, Mr. Speaker, to be proved wrong if you can answer one simple question. How many of these people that he's deported are failed asylum seekers that's come on small boats or on the back of lorries? Answer the question.
Oh, well, surprise, surprise. He's doing the xenophobic immigrant bashing, isn't he? Yeah. Well, let's see Keith's response first. That's as knuckle-dragging a question as you'd expect from someone like Lee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very proud that we've removed over 24,000 people. That's the highest record for nearly 10 years. We're taking other measures to get back control of our borders, including the Borders Bill, which gives our law enforcement enhanced powers, including terrorism-like powers. What did his party do? What did he do? He voted against them. And I'll tell you why he voted.
Welcome to the trying to outflank each other to the right on immigration section of the weekly PMQs. It's sponsored by P&O Ferries.
Against them because they don't want to fix this problem, because it benefits them. It benefits them not to fix it. Party before country. It's very good he's standing in for the member for Clacton, I have to say. There was no sign of him yesterday at the EU. So he was the first through the E-gates somewhere to south of France.
Having a laugh with Lee Anderson, are we? Yeah, this is what the taxpayers want to see.
Nice work if you can get it.
Christine Sullivan.
Why don't you run over and give him a nice big cuddle like you did with Nigel Farage a few months ago? What a twat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the government's investment of £680 million into mental health support. Meanwhile, in Scotland, many children in my constituency of Bathgate and Linlithgow are stuck on an NHS Lothian neurodevelopmental waiting list, which was only recently seen patients referred in March 2022. This delay can lead to poor mental health, with children ending up on a CAMHS waiting list too. How will the Prime Minister work with devolved governments to ensure faster diagnosis and greater support so that no child across these aisles grows up on a waiting list?
Well, I thank her for her question. She rightly raises the broken promises of the SNP on mental health services powerfully. It is important, and we will.
You are getting wiped out in Scotland, Starmer. You know this. I know this. You're in denial if you don't acknowledge this. Well, in a roundabout way, you are acknowledging that by trying to attack the SNP, as he does every week. But he has certainly let Scotland down, just as much as he has England and Wales as well. In fact, more, you know, because overall, still, England benefit more from the Union than Scotland do, by a long shot.
Have positive discussion with devolved governments to work on addressing mental health waiting times. But look, the SNP promised to invest in frontline mental health services, then cut them by £54 million in real terms this year. Now, with a record settlement in the budget, 2 decades in power, the SNP are out of excuses and out of ideas, and Scotland deserves better than that.
Well, within, never mind decades, within 10 months, Starmer has completely lost the faith of the Scottish voting public, who lent him the vote at the last election. And that's like a really short amount of time. That's a really poor track record. And according to some of the latest projections I've been sharing recently, the Tories could end up with more seats than Labour in Scotland, which is almost unthinkable.
If the Prime Minister agrees that the Israeli government starving children to death is monstrous, why does he think it's okay for the UK to continue to sell Israel the equipment for the fighter jets to drop bombs on these starving children?
Yeah. Very good question. Let's see some flags and watermelons in the chat, people. Some countries are taking so-called concrete action that Starmer's promised to take, but let's see what his response is.
What we contribute into a pot is parts for fighter jets. And if we were to stop that, they couldn't be used by other countries in the other conflicts, including those in which we are involved.
Well, you don't take the risk. You don't take the risk. You don't take the risk. If that pot that he's referring to, that other countries put into, could be accessed by, say, prescribed groups, surely they'd put an immediate halt to it. So why not the same for international war criminals?
It doesn't know the detail at all. They're not sold directly. They go into a pot. If we were to stop that, they wouldn't then be available to others around the world who desperately need them in the conflicts they're engaged in.
Well, then for a start, it's a ridiculous system. You've got to be able to trace what's going where, especially where legal things are coming to this. Is this how they try and bury and suppress how much they're supporting other countries, how much weaponry that they're selling to other countries? Yeah, we know that this happens. Of course we do. As the years go by, the UK is increasingly involved in the industrial military complex. But if you don't know where a part that a country has produced has ended up, then that's really bad accounting for another matter. And it's certainly no excuse to making contributions towards this regime, because that's not the only part of it. The F-35, there's still the spy planes that are going over, for example. So we've a lot to answer for, and I don't think things like that would stand up in an international court, should it ever come to it, which I think it should. Thanks for throwing up the flags and watermelons, people. Solidarity, Free Palestine.
And that's why we won't do it.
Cat Ettles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Dementia Gateway.
Given we were talking about how performative the announcement from David Lammy was the other day, the UK's response to Israel's blockade, and I think that Starmer's response to that question there, very dismissive, actually really shows what they're really about. I think that's very telling, how theatrically passionate David Lammy was yesterday, but I think it is just to say the same things other countries are doing. We know that France and Canada also made similar statements yesterday. Other countries have come into the fray today for different reasons. That includes delegates being fired at by the IDF. I'll be talking about that in more detail a little bit later on. So I think it is just, for sure, I think it's a very thin veil when you look at what we're actually still doing. And you look at other countries who are going so much further and are more astute than us to want to be on the right side of history. It's an embarrassment at this point. It's shameful, and it's a national embarrassment, something that we're going to have to explain to future generations as to what the official stance on this was here in 2025.
My constituency of Stourbridge was recently at risk of closure following £42 million worth of budget cuts by the Conservative-run Dudley Council. The Gateway is a vital service for dementia patients and their carers, providing daytime activities, advice and support from trained advisors, and following a well-fought campaign with cross-party support, the Dementia Gateway has been saved. So this Dementia Action Week, would the Prime Minister join me in congratulating Lisa and the campaigners? And does he agree with me that services like the Dementia Gateway in Stourbridge are essential and support the government's mission to provide quality care in our communities close to home?
Yeah. Well, can I thank my honourable friend and celebrate Lisa and all those who've saved this important source of local support. The party opposite left local councils on the brink, unable to provide these vital services, letting down patients across the country. We are committed to improving dementia care through our plan for change, which is why we provided £69 billion boost for local government, invested £26 billion in the NHS, and made £3.7 billion available for social care, including an £880 million increase in the social care grant.
Rupert Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister agree that imprisoning Lucy Connolly, a young mother with a 12-year-old daughter, for one foolish social media post, soon deleted, is clearly not an efficient or fair use of prison?
Mr. Speaker, sentencing is a matter for our courts, and I celebrate the fact that we have independent courts in this country. I am strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very long time, and we protect.
Have we? Okay, yeah. I'll tell that to Trudy Warner, who was arrested for holding a placard with a slogan on it that's actually inside the Old Bailey itself when she was protesting outside a court. Tell that to all the other people who've been arrested for using their legal right to protest. Free? That word gets thrown around so much in politics, doesn't it? Without any consideration for what the actual definition of that word might be.
It fiercely, but I'm equally against incitement to violence against other people. And I will always support...
Yeah, that guy as well, really... his name escapes me. But it's the sort of voice that you'd expect to be reading the cricket scores or something, isn't it? Yeah, one of those. It might be one of the, is it 5 Reform MPs? Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. I'll try and remember.
The action taken by our police and courts to keep our streets and people safe.
Paul Foster.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, I recently visited St Catherine's Hospice in Lostock Hall, which serves wonderfully my constituents of South Ribble, those of Ribble Valley and some of your constituents of Chorley, Mr Speaker. I discovered, speaking to them, that they have to pay in excess of £350,000 a year for medication, and it can only be sourced from the private sector, not the NHS. Doing some investigating, I found there's an ICB postcode lottery out there. Some ICBs fully fund and supply our medication, some subsidise, some don't supply it at all. There's also a disparity where evidence supports that hospices in the more deprived areas aren't funded, those in the more affluent areas are funded. Would the Prime Minister please speak with the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care as a matter of urgency and get free medication supplied by all ICBs to all hospices across the country?
Well, Mr Speaker, we have put record amounts into the NHS in the budget, and we're beginning to see the results of that.
You know, how many governments in a row have we heard claim to make record investment in the NHS? Oh, are they going to do the cutaway to Streeton in the next shot?
I accept the point he makes, and we will look again to make sure the money is properly used in the way.
We're a Hobhouse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A month ago, I was
every
denied
time.
entry into Hong Kong on a private visit. At the absence of any explanation, this seems to hint at a hidden blacklist aimed to silence any MP who speaks up against human rights abuses from the Chinese government. Many of us from any political party. Does he agree with me that this is an attack on all of us? And will he personally seek reassurances from the Hong Kong authorities that no British parliamentarian will be denied entry in this way again?
Well, can I thank her? Her experience is deeply concerning, and I know it must have affected her. I think she was hoping to see and later saw her grandchild, but it must have impacted on her, and it is deeply concerning. We need to recognise that. Ministers have raised it, including the Foreign Secretary, on numerous occasions. With their...
Well, he went to Israel and they told him to fuck off before. Fairly recently as well, that happened.
Counterparts both in China and Hong Kong, preventing UK citizens, including members of Parliament, from entering Hong Kong without justification, or for simply expressing their views, is completely unacceptable, and it will only undermine Hong Kong's international reputation and the relationship that we have with them. And so we will continue to raise it.
John MacDonald.
Mr Speaker, you will know that I've raised on several occasions in the House the case of Allah Abdel Fattah, the British-Egyptian human rights campaigner, who for several years now, many years now, has been imprisoned in Egypt, and whose mother, Layla, went on a 100-day hunger strike. I want to thank the Prime Minister for fulfilling his promise to contact the...
100 days, that's a lot. I do actually know a few people who've done hunger strikes for the environment and other things, and spoken to them about 100 days. That really is something. And I actually took part in a protest outside the Egyptian embassy a few years ago about hunger strikes, and this particular case as well. It's devastating what's happening This has been going on for quite a while now. I'm glad that John McDonnell is bringing it up and reminding Keith about this.
President Sisi of Egypt to secure Allah's release, but unfortunately months on now, and Allah remains in prison, and Layla this week has started a hunger strike again. Could I appeal to him to speak directly again to President Sisi to secure Allah's release?
Well, can I thank him for raising this, not just today, but on the many occasions that he has. It is incredibly important that we do everything we can in this case. I have met Layla and given her my commitment to do everything I possibly can. I have had a number of contacts myself, but I'm not going to stop doing everything within my power to secure release.
Well reminded there, Rohan Harridge, thanks for joining us in the chat. Yeah, David Lammy did refuse entry to Nelson Mandela's grandson. As well, you know, complete double standards. We'll be talking more about apartheid South Africa a little bit later with, yeah, the latest escapades in the Oval Office. This is almost coming to a close now. It does appear, people, that Postman Swats could be bowing out very shortly. Unprecedented. Pressure Drop, thanks for joining us in the chat as well. Hope you're having a good evening. Make sure you've hit the thumbs up button, people, as you join us. Let's get towards the end of this. Can he save his arse with a late comeback? You never know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Would the Prime Minister join me in welcoming my constituent Teddy, who is 6 years old, and with his mum Laura, who've come to see us today at Prime Minister's Questions. Teddy is a self-professed eco-warrior on a mission to change the world. He started out by saving thousands of plastic chocolate and sweet tubs from landfill because they're not currently recyclable. Will the Prime Minister commit to ask his Minister for Local Government to meet with Teddy and myself to discuss how we make these tubs recyclable? And does he agree with me that no matter how small you are never too little to make a big difference?
Well, can I welcome Teddy on my behalf and on behalf, I think, of the whole House. It is really incredible that Teddy has done so much already and is in the gallery somewhere. Many of us struggle for a whole lifetime to make...
What do you tell him how you're going to rob his pension from the past?
An impact on government policy. Teddy is already age 6 having an impact, and I'll make sure that he gets to speak to the relevant minister.
Final question, Rosie Wright.
Thank you,
Last
Mr.
question.
Speaker.
Oh,
Following
this
on
is
from my
it.
honourable
It's going
friend, I
out.
also want to mark that this week is National Epilepsy
Your
Week.
boy is going out.
An important opportunity to raise awareness of a condition that affects so many but often remains invisible. Epilepsy comes with fear and uncertainty, the anxiety of having a seizure, the impact of losing a driving licence, and the worry about medication shortages. In the UK, 1 in 100 people live with epilepsy. That's up to 6 of us in this chamber, including myself. So today I ask the Prime Minister, will he join me and the inspiring campaigners watching from the gallery in marking National Epilepsy Week as we continue to raise awareness of seizures?
Well, can I congratulate my honourable friend for her tireless campaigning on this issue and those campaigners who are with us today. I know the impact epilepsy has on people across the country, including on over 100,000 children and young people. We are committed to improving care for people with neurological conditions and setting up UK-wide Neuroforum to improve treatment and care for those with such conditions.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
God.
Point of order.
Wow. Wow. It's happened. It's happened. It's actually happened. Can you believe it, people? So by 7-3, this time, not nearly as much a drubbing as last week, but still a loss. Postman Swat bows out. The champion is defeated. I mean, I'd have to go back and count how many sessions he's been champion for, but Deal has absolutely stormed it in the last fortnight. I was scouting for a new contender. It looks as though I've picked a good one. Well, how's about that? Incredible. I'll take a bow. Keith Edmonds. Yeah, 7-3. There is your new champion. Behold. Postman Twat is defeated. Okay, so let me know your excuse me. Let me know your thoughts about that session in the chats or in the comments if you're watching back on a replay. Again, make sure you've hit the thumbs up button on the stream, and a big shout out to Morbius for the gifted membership. Solidari-Tea for that. I'll take the total to 96 now. Can we get back over the 100? On tonight's stream, so I'll remove the scoreboard and whatnot. For now, I'm still aghast. I'm still in awe. A day some thought would never come. Okay, people, on to a few other matters in just a moment. I'm just going to quickly top up my drink. I'll be right back with you, people. Stay put. Thank you very much for your patience there, people. We shall move on to other matters now. Let me see what I've got queued up. Yeah, we'll get straight into the latest in Gaza. There's a few things to talk about there, some negative, some positive actually, which makes a nice change. But this headline, really reeks of the hubris that we talked about on previous streams, and these declarations that are openly statements that are in violation of international law. So this is the latest one, and apparently they think that they can say that all parts of Gaza should be under Israeli control. Now, if that's not 100% annexation, if that's not illegal occupation, then what is it? And Netanyahu himself has also come out again, yes again, with the we won't stop until Hamas are eradicated. That's bullshit for a lot of reasons. That's just something he says to want to perpetuate this annexation, as I just mentioned. But also, it's a logistically impossible target to set yourself. Also in terms of accounting, so do they imagine that there will come a day where there is just literally one Hamas fighter left, and shortly before they're killed, or as they lie there dying, they'll turn around and shout, oh, by the way, I'm the last one, you know, you can stop now. As if that scenario will ever come, and as if their behaviour doesn't in fact breed more resistance and is probably more likely to make young people who've lost family members want to side with Hamas and join the resistance anyway. So it's a ridiculous notion on multiple fronts. I just mentioned a couple of examples there, but I want to get through the latest reporting. One of the other main elements of today, unfortunately, is that it's been confirmed that the aid still isn't getting through. A handful of trucks have crossed the border, but have then stopped just on the other side, as we discussed. Just yesterday, saw the World Food Programme said that problems with aid distribution in Gaza arose because the IDF wanted trucks to move inside Gaza along a route that aid agencies considered to be dangerous and where they could be at risk of attack by desperately hungry civilians and armed criminal gangs. You would like to think that is obviously something that the IDF would want. It would perhaps give weight to their side of the argument for not letting the aid through, which is naturally complete bollocks. How many times do I have to point out you can't steal something that isn't there? So the whole Hamas is stealing aid is it's a non-starter, even as propaganda. That's something that I don't think I've brought up yet. Actually, just the name of this, I don't even want to say operation, you know, the kind of language that mainstream media would choose to describe this is quite detached from my own, but Operation Gideon's Chariots. I think it's just so over the top, isn't it? It's just so overkill. Everything is just hyperbolic as hell. It's, you know, Operation Gideon's Chariots. I'm almost lost for words with how shockingly bad that is. They think it will be some sort of defining moment in the history. That's probably what they're telling the citizens on their own media right now, you know. The propaganda is so bad within Israel as well. So yeah, just quickly run through these bullet points. Netanyahu said Israel had probably killed another Hamas leader. Oh, sorry. That was earlier this month, sorry, Mohammed Sinwar, younger brother of Yahya Sinwar. He also said Israel was open to a temporary ceasefire and hostage release deal if there was an opportunity for one. Israel was prepared to end the war under clear conditions, but ensure Israel's security, he said. The Prime Minister said 20 hostages seized by Hamas in the 7th of October attacks are believed to be alive and up to 30 others have died. Wouldn't really rate the accuracy of that estimate. And we'll have to wait and see. But that one, the Gaza Strip in its entirety will be under Israeli security control by the end of the war. And that's in an official statement. What further evidence of intent do you need? The motive, you know. Justice prevailing, he should one day end up in The Hague, and this will be a significant factor in the prosecution. The opposition within Israel has been highly critical as well. I didn't mention yesterday also hundreds of people from Israel started to march towards the border, towards Gaza, in a mass protest calling for an end to the conflict as well, which I think was particularly brave. And it was for the atrocities to stop, as well as the hostages to be released, of course. So domestic tension is really sort of firing up at the moment. Yeah, this was something I mentioned earlier. I guess we may as well go into this a little bit now. I'll try and sum it up as best as I can for anybody who doesn't already know. Some international diplomats lost their way driving around Gaza, and warning shots were fired at the diplomats by the IDF, who at that time didn't realise that they were diplomats. It's somewhat of a international faux pas. Oh no, what have we done? Like, we've blown up the Spanish attaché. I might get a written warning about this one. Luckily, nobody was injured, but they've demanded an explanation. I think I've got a brief clip about this as well. If you will just bear with me for a second or two.
Several countries, including Belgium, Spain and Italy, have demanded an explanation from Israel after its military fired on a diplomatic delegation in the occupied West Bank. Well, no injuries were reported in the incident, which happened in the flashpoint city of Jenin.
Well, one thing I do want to bring up is this apparent misidentification, that they didn't know that they were diplomats and this sort of thing. Let's just say, given Israel's reputation, you might want to question how legitimate that might be. Heaven forfend that the IDF weren't deliberately trying to intimidate international diplomats. Do you know what I mean? To sort of, how would they put it, you know, remind them that they're serious, or whatever douchebags would say. That's one thing that still lingers in my mind about this.
The Israeli military said shots were fired into the air after the delegation, which reportedly included diplomats from Britain, Belgium, Spain, Italy and Canada, strayed from a previously agreed route. It said the soldiers who'd fired the warning shots had not realised they were diplomats.
And Chris, yeah, that's a good point. They don't normally fire warning shots. It's normally fire 50 shots and then shout, "Freeze!" You know, that's the way they do it. That's pretty much at the end of the clip there, just a small segment from the P.O.V earlier. And there are some more updates on Israel as well. Just a story I've mentioned recently. Let's bring back the background music first, though. Yes, the vote rigging scandal, the Eurovision. Seems like the mainstream media aren't too quick on the beat about this. This is something that I was discussing a few days ago, but seems to have woken up a little bit. Let's see what's happening there, people. Yuval Raphael was the contender. She ended up finishing second, as I pointed out in some recent content on my video, featuring friend and associate of mine, David, who was one of the protesters during a performance. It's particularly suspicious, given Israel's unpopularity throughout European countries. But all became clear when it turned out that Israelis were using multiple credit cards and accounts. Excuse me. Just need to wet my whistle. Yeah, they used those to vote for Israel up to 100 times. And the UK awarded Israel 12 points, which is quite disappointing. And the Irish broadcaster RTE has asked for a full breakdown of the voting from organisers, so the plot thickens. Spain have also requested a review. So you're only supposed to be able to vote 20 times each. Some people using 5 different cards, accounts, can vote 100 times. It's a bit of a obvious fraud, really. Oh, and there's another point. Eurovision News, which is operated by the EBU, said an agency of the Israeli government paid for adverts and used state social media accounts to encourage people to vote for the Israeli entry, of course. That's the way it goes with a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of the big platforms are a lot more susceptible to things like that than they should be. That really needs rooting out when you think about Palantir and these kind of companies and what they've done in the UK. recently as well. It's all the same tactic, really. Comes under the same umbrella, doesn't it? And in the end, you know, future narrator would say, and in the end the world went to war for the third time over the Eurovision Song Contest. Let's hope not. Well, we'll see what it might uncover during these investigations. And I'll come on to Trump in just a moment, people. Let's just get things set up here. Okay, so essentially what's happened, South African leaders there, and he sort of got Zelensky, not quite the same. It was a bit of a setup, as you'll see, with Trump committing the setup, that is. I know this guy's stance on Trump has been obvious for a while. He doesn't like Trump. A reporter was asking Trump a question, at which point he interjected and sort of took it upon himself to answer on behalf of Trump, just to point out that what he's there for is to get Trump to start to listen to people instead of being so fucking reckless and arrogant, I guess, which is a fair point. But it was a trap, it was a setup. Let's see what's happening, people. Donald obviously didn't take too kindly, first of all, for him trying to speak on his behalf and interjecting. But he also had some material prepared about him criticising Trump in the past, and proceeded to go into this, well, these accusations of a white apartheid, or whatever it was that he said. This ridiculous conspiracy theory that exists, that essentially there is an apartheid in South Africa now, but it's flipped around from the way it was during Nelson Mandela's time. Like, ludicrous. So as well as these pictures, he had a video there, and he's like, "Oh right, you know, well, what about this? What about this apartheid? What about all this other shit that you've been throwing at me, eh?" And I think after the Zelensky thing, he's got together with his people, and he's, you know what I should have done? You know what I should have had ready? Like a load of clips of Zelensky criticising me. So from now on, anytime anybody walks into the Oval Office for one of these public press conferences, he's going to be getting to work on digging up clips, digging up dirt. is pathetic, really, isn't it? Let's just go through a bit more of what happened. So a much anticipated meeting between South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa and US President Donald Trump is over. The encounter was at times, as expected, fiery. Trump confronted the South African leader with a video over discredited claims of a white genocide in South Africa. Yeah, these were all either, you know, doctored videos or taken out of context or whatever, this crap that the far right throw around social media. The meeting was also littered with golf chat. Ramaphosa told Trump he bought a 14-kilogram golf book as a gift, while South African golfer Ernie Els told the meeting 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay. Though visibly uncomfortable from the ambush, Ramaphosa remained calm, and that was one of the things he didn't react the same way that Zelensky did. Yes, so Ramaphosa had to explain to Trump that there is no genocide in South Africa. Nyonso says there is no killing of white farmers in South Africa. There is crime in South Africa, like in other countries, and this crime affects many people. So I guess they never really got down to talking about trade, which is what they were supposed to be doing. Ramaphosa sought to interest Trump with South Africa's vast rare earth mining opportunities to the 600 United States companies that operate in South Africa. But no updates about that. It was just, yeah, descended into batshit crazy madness once again, people, but what else are we to expect in these times? Oh. Lost the membership goal for a sec. But I do want to share something a little bit more uplifting, a bit more positive, just quickly going back to Gaza. I mentioned that some countries have actually been doing a lot more, taking more steps in the right direction on the issue. Many of them officially recognising Palestine as a state, of course, but also today Spain announced a full ban on arms sales to Israel, which is fantastic news. They didn't say anything along the lines of, oh, but it all goes into this big vast pot and then we have no control over it. You know, if it ends up in the hands of genocidal maniacs, that's not our fault. But no, you can do it, and Spain have done it, and we should follow suit. So yeah, congratulations, Spain. In fact, I think they should give themselves a clap.
اللخبط التصويت على هذا القرار، قرار بحظر بيع الأسلحة لإسرائيل. إذن هذه هي الخطوات التي تقوم بها إسبانيا، تأتي في سياق خطوات أشمل وأكبر من قبل الأوروبيين الذين يحاولون الضغط على إسرائيل بسبب الوضع الإنساني الكارثي الذي يعيشه سكان قطاع غزة.
التلفزيون العربي.
Sorry, I didn't realise that video was dubbed, but you get the general idea. Well done, Spain. Take notes, Starmer, take notes. Okay, people, I just want to say another thank you to all of the members here. Thanks for the gifted memberships this evening as well. Just have to remove the chat window briefly. Thanks very much, everyone. We might fluctuate around this 100 goal for a while. It's not exactly a clearly straight line when it comes to memberships and views often as well, so we might dip above and below until eventually we'll be well clear of the 100. Thank you very much to everybody who's renewed though and stuck it out with us here on My Left Eye. You are all fantastic people, marvellous members. I'm just scouting for a raid, so stick around, people, as we get towards the end of the stream. If you do like to stay up into the wee small hours, I could have some quality content for you. Let's see. Just a reminder as well, please make sure you've hit the thumbs up button on the stream. Feel free to leave a comment if you're watching back a little bit later on with your feedback on the subjects that have come up this evening. And all of that jazz. Okay, nobody's live at the moment, but there's an upcoming Navarra, so I've just scheduled into that. Unless anybody's got some very, very last minute suggestions for who I might be able to raid into. Then I will say thank you very much for joining me on tonight's live stream, the Brews at 10 PMQs. A historic event. So long, Postman Swat. Oh, and thanks a lot for the super chats as well, I forgot to say. Right, so I guess there's not going to be a raid. We'll call that a day, but take care, people. My Left Eye, I'll be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.